Welcome back, YouTube, to part two of the NFL football season preview. So, we have discussed the first and the second place teams in the hotly contested AFC West, which was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers in the last few videos. So, now we're going to move on to the third place team from a year ago, which was the highly resurgent Denver Broncos. They have made the playoffs for the first time since Peyton Manning was there. And the question with this team is that is this team becoming a contender in a highly crowded and overly powerful AFC? So let's go ahead and get started with this one. All right, so with the Denver Broncos, so they have Sean Payton there. Of course, his first two seasons were marred in issues with Russell Wilson and lack of production on offense and so many issues. So they went out last year. They got Bo Nix, the quarterback out of Oregon. And as a rookie, to say he had a great season would be an understatement. I mean, he had some moments of him being a rookie, but he had 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and almost 3,800 passing yards a year ago. So he's going to be part of that rebuild, obviously. So what they've got Bo Nix there as the quarterback, but that running back room, they've got R.J. Harvey, they got Audric Estime, the guy out of Notre Dame, they got Jaleel McLaughlin, but to be honest, I've never even heard of any of them because I think R.J. Harvey, yeah, I believe he is a rookie. Yeah, so this is gonna be his first season as a NFL player, so who knows what's going to happen with that. But the focal points on offense is going to be Courtland Sutton. It's going to be Marvin Mims at the wide receiver position. It's going to be Evan Engram, who they got from Jacksonville in a trade. So he's going to round out those skill position guys. And then there's really nobody big that or powerful or I say noteworthy for me to include on the offensive line. Now, on the defensive side, this is where they made the money. So they got John Franklin Myers there. They got Nick Benito. They got Dre Greenlaw. They got Pat Surtain there as a lockdown corner. And they also got Hufanga from the San Francisco 49ers. So that defense is absolutely nightmarish and could pose a lot of issues for those pass heavy teams or for any of those prolific offensive attacks, at least in the division, in the AFC, or in the entire NFL. So we look at their all-time record. They're 581, 472, and 10. That's a 52.3 win percentage. Of course, they've had a bunch of Super Bowl wins. They won one with John Elway. They won one with Peyton Manning back in 2015, I believe that was, or 2016. But in a division, though, it's a different story. They do have a winning record against only one of those teams. That would be the Los Angeles Chargers. But the other two, they've got dismal records, not even winning 44% of the time against the Raiders nor the Kansas City Chiefs. So hopefully they're looking to right that ship and look at least more competitive, and arguably the best division in football this year. So if we look at the schedule, so the nice thing about Denver is that they played a third place schedule. So that means they're going to be playing a bunch of third place teams, which means they're not going to be looking at the overly dominant the Baltimores and the how to say the Buffaloes and all the other teams out there. But if we do look at their schedule, they have a very nice start to the season. They get two teams out of the AFC South, starting with the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts, and those two games are absolutely winnable, and I do have them winning both of those. I have their first loss being at the Chargers in week 3, and then I have them bouncing back on Monday Night Football exclusively on ABC. That will be on Monday to take on the Cincinnati Bengals, so I have them winning that one in week 4. Then I have them going on a little bit of a tear, going on a 5-game winning streak starting week 4 and ending in week number 8 against the Dallas Cowboys. So I do have them before their week 9 game against the Houston Texans. I have them going 7-1. So they're going to start off hot, I believe. But then after that, I think once they start hitting that low, starting in week number 10, I think when they start playing the more difficult teams on their schedule, not saying Philadelphia and Cincinnati and the other teams before them are inherently weaker, I just think by the midway point of the season, the dynamics of the teams have changed. So I think I have them losing against Houston, I have them losing against Kansas City, I have them losing at home against the Raiders in a highly questionable loss against the Las Vegas Raiders. So I have them going 7-4 before their Week 12 bye week. I have them losing at Washington coming after the bye week in Week 13, which will be that Sunday night football for Thanksgiving week. And then I have them winning 4 of their last 5 to finish 11-6 on the season, which will be a 1-game improvement and will be over that 9.5 over under win total. I do have them finishing in third place once again in the AFC West, and I do have them losing in the wild card round. I do not see this being a year where we'll be like, okay, so yeah, Denver's back, and they can have. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have the parts and pieces to contend not only in their division but in the entire AFC itself. But I just believe with the teams that are going to be getting in this year, I mean, it's going to be Kansas City, it's going to be Buffalo, Baltimore. I have Cincinnati getting there. I do have the Chargers getting in there, so it's like Houston's going to throw themselves in there. So I mean, I think it's going to be the same cast of characters, but I think this is not going to be the year for Denver. But of course, they could prove me wrong. I mean, Cincinnati did it in year two with Joe Burrow when they went all the way to the Super Bowl, so you never know what can happen. But I've been projected at 11-6 and in third place in the AFC West. All right, in the next video, we're going to wrap up the entire AFC West, the entire AFC entirely, by talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, who are in the midst of a major rebuild. So until then, this is your man Dylan signing off about the Denver Broncos, and I'll see you in the next video.